the longest time, it's felt like there's really only been two options when it comes to launching. Either having those big once or twice a year massive launches where you're hoping to make 6 or 7 figures to carry you over the entire year, or an evergreen strategy for your always open offers that relies so much on manufactured scarcity and urgency. Hi, I'm Katherine Mackenzie-Smith. I'm a business coach for introverted, highly sensitive, and neurodivergent solopreneurs, and I've worked with thousands of coaches and other service providers over the past 11 years as I've been navigating my own journey towards creating a cozy business and success on my terms and helping others to do the same. Over the years, I've tried so many different strategies when it comes to launching and bringing attention and energy to my offers. Back in 2020, when I first launched what has become my Emerge and Expand Mastermind, I created this framework called the Seasons of Visibility because what I could see over and over again were people teaching me this idea of exponential growth and getting bigger and bigger and bigger every single year. And I could tell even back then that this was not a sustainable foundation to build my business on. Now, it might be different for other people, but it definitely wasn't something that interested me as a solopreneur and someone who wanted to keep it that way. Putting all my eggs in one basket and all my resources to create a big, exhausting launch and crossing my fingers and hoping that it would work out and then carry me through the whole year felt so misaligned and the opposite of what I was trying to do. And then it felt like the only other option was to go with an always open, evergreen offer approach, meaning that there's always something to offer because the doors are never closed. And yet I've spent the last few years experimenting and trying new things, really trying to find the strategies, the systems, and the structure to be able to make my seasons of visibility and my cyclical or seasonal approach to business not just realistic, but also sustainable. In this video, I'll share how I'm finding balance by creating gentle enrollment windows that align with my seasons of visibility framework. You'll learn why I think this approach will create more ease, better client experiences, and better results than either the big once or twice a year launch model or the always open approach. Whether you're burning out from constant promotion or dreading your next big launch or just avoiding selling your offers at all, I'll show you how creating intentional business rhythms can help you to build a more sustainable, cozy business that honors your energy while serving your people deeply. So first up is the problem with both launch extremes. Most strategies that are out there being taught really focus on one or the other, either the big once or twice a year launches that require months and months of planning, nurturing, huge audience growth, and getting in front of as many people as possible to be able to get the numbers to have those 6 and 7 figure launches. As a solopreneur in particular, not having a team building out all of those pieces and focusing on very specific areas, the thought of doing a once or twice a year launch feels unsustainable and unsafe for me and way too difficult to predict, especially in the current online business landscape. When I first came up with the Seasons of Visibility, I actually thought it could lend itself very well for having a 3-month period in the year that is specifically focused on the summer season. But as I've tried to tweak and change and evolve things, I realized that even this seasonal approach was leaving too much to chance and spreading it out too much across the whole year. When I opened my first low ticket membership in 2022, I could see by having a back-end closed membership, but also having that always open front-end membership could work really well to meet the demands of people who want to join something and get a solution right now, whilst also having that back-end offer for people who wanted to go deeper. What I've realized over the last few years though, is again, the amount of volume that you need in order to make a low ticket membership work. You have to have so many people coming through the doors and either a significant already built audience or an advertising budget in order to meet those numbers. I talked about this a little bit in a recent video about how I'm streamlining having too many offers and trying to simplify them, and this came up through my review. Another issue that I have with the always open model, it means constantly having that energy leak, knowing that you should be promoting your offer that's always open. And one thing I noticed in a lot of the strategies out there being taught about always open and evergreen offers is manufacturing this fake scarcity and urgency to get people to sign up right now. None of those sit well with me at all, and I can just feel the energy of my two main offers, the Cozy Business Common Room and my Emerge and Expand Mastermind, being always open, that even though they are still my main focus this year, I needed to find a better way to not be launching all the time or in summer mode all the time and be able to focus more of my energy on showing up and supporting my members and clients and continuing to build goodwill and value with my wider audience. The main thing that I know about both of these options is that neither of them actually aligns with my values, my energy or the way that I want to run my business. And I know there's other people out there who feel the same way too. What that has led to is looking for other options and alternatives. And that is the main reason that I've decided to close all of my offers, to adopt a waitlist or an application strategy. Now, let me just talk a little bit about how this approach aligns with my Seasons of Visibility framework. My Seasons of Visibility framework has always been about creating seasonal, cyclical rhythms that honor both my energy and my clients' needs. I know my audience very well and how quickly they burn out with being sold to all the time or feeling that pressure and urgency to be joining things. So you may have come across this before. I've talked about it in a few videos, but let me talk about it within the context specifically around launching and promoting our offers and how I'm implementing it in my business right now. First up is the spring phase, which is the plan and nurture phase. This is exactly what it sounds like. It is making sure that you've got some things in place. You've mapped out your timelines. You know what you need to do when. You've got maybe some dates and a bit of structure in place to be able to plan out your content, your launch period, and all of the assets and moving pieces that you need to make that work. This is also a time when we're calling in new people to your audience and nurturing the people that you're already in front of. This is things like if you're setting up ads and developing your pre-launch messaging that creates a pathway to your offer. Next, we have the summer phase, which is the launch and grow phase. This is what I think of as the high visibility part of your business, where you start to maybe ramp things up a little bit, send more emails, collaborate more, ramp up your ads budget, or create things like a live launch event or another way for people to come into contact with your work. This is what we think about really when we're thinking about launching in particular, where you just have more visibility and more energy output happening to create that energy and activity around your work as you're calling new people in. I think autumn is the most underrated and least talked about phase or season in our business, the delivery and review period. Most business and marketing people out there are talking about how we're getting people in, but very few focus on what we do once we have those people in. And if you've ever been in a program that has had the most incredible sales and pre-launch period, you've signed up thinking you're going to be so well looked after, and then you get into a program only to realize you're one of thousands of people, and it's a very different experience from what happened before you signed up. I know this from personal experience. I don't want to put that onto anyone else, but if you've experienced that, you'll know that taking care of your people and the delivery of your program needs to be a strong focus, as well as how we're just getting people in the door. This is also the time to review what we've just done and start to see where things need improvements, what went really well, and how you're feeling after this latest launch period. And finally, the winter phase is the rest and evolve phase. This is where we can take time to step back. For those of us who need that time to re-energize after a big launch, to hermit away and have much less visibility, that is exactly what this phase is for, instead of just continuing to power along into burnout. This is also the time that we can start to collect what we've already done and look for ways to improve and evolve it for the next run. When I first came up with the Seasons of Visibility, I thought of this phase as how we can also start to build systems, automations, and evergreen some of our offers so that we don't have to go through the big launch period all the time. And we can have some things that are happening on automation for these times when we take a step back and rest in our business. But there's such different strategies that sometimes when you're working alone, it can feel like there's never time to get to that part. So point 3 is how I've started implementing my Experienceify Your Expertise methodology, and I've created much shorter seasons so that I'm not waiting the whole year to gather the data, get in front of my people, share my offer with them, and then start to do it all again a year later. For those of us especially who are doing things like coaching, energy healing, or other service-based businesses that have a transformation that can sometimes be difficult to explain or make tangible, the best way we can show people what they can expect when they work with us is to create an opportunity for them to experience it for themselves. Now, I'm currently doing this on a monthly basis because, again, I want to collect as much data as possible. But the most important thing is to think about how you can create a live experience that feels really good for you, that feels sustainable, and gives you an opportunity to call people in to experience your work and then make a decision for themselves whether it's the right next step for them or not. I actually created this training for a client a couple of years ago who had just started doing really chill events on Zoom that involved pulling a tarot or oracle card and spending the session together, journaling and exploring and creating around that theme. I've also helped spiritual teachers and practitioners implement this by creating live experiences, not to teach what it is that they do, but to actually hold space to run people through an experience so they can really feel the depth of the work and the container you're inviting people into. And for myself, this has almost always been something I've done through the format of a workshop. About 5 or 6 years ago, I spent almost a full year running a free monthly workshop around a different topic so that I could build my confidence, I could organically grow my email list and my community, connect with those people, and challenge myself to create content in this way. And I only stopped doing it because it started to feel like more of a burden of having to create something new every single month. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to join Evelyn Weiss's Almost Evergreen program, and that is where everything clicked together for me. Bringing these two things together has actually allowed me to create the seasons of visibility throughout the month. I have time in the month where I'm planning and preparing for what's coming. I'm nurturing my audience. I'm starting to ramp up my ads budget that is always running to my workshop. I run the workshop about my cozy business pillars and framework, which is my summer high visibility zone. I send out emails to an offer or an opportunity for those people if they're interested to go further. And then I have time in the month to deliver an implementation session or something else to my members that builds on that workshop and be able to rest, review, and start to evolve the things that I've done this month so that I can repeat it again next month. Now, for some people, this may still be too extreme and you could easily spread this out over a few months of the year, but it's feeling really good for me because it's helping to create an anchor point in my month, and I've been able to apply my seasons of visibility to make sure that this strategy is actually aligned for my cozy business philosophy and a business that really honors and supports me. What I've started to do off the back of this Almost Evergreen workshop idea is I've been adding people every day to my list, and then knowing what the theme for the month is going to be, the angle that I'm going to take in my workshop when I run it live, has helped me to plan out my content for the rest of the month, create a focus for my members, and make sure that I'm creating a nurture pathway through all my content and messaging that revolves around that theme or that pillar that I'm focusing on. That allows for more engagement and implementation in my membership and is a natural next step for people who want to go deeper before I start to do it all again the following month. When I move into the winter phase and the evolve phase, that also allows me to start experimenting and trying new things that I can implement next month. This month, what I've decided is that I'd like to play with the idea of closing my offers so that I can focus that energy and attention on a specific part of the month and ensure that I'm giving so much value and really building that reciprocity and goodwill with my wider audience by spending most of the month just focusing on nurturing and bringing value, and then focusing my summer phase on the people who have just opted in that month to the workshop. This means I won't burn my audience out by constantly promoting the same offer and not really giving them a reason to join. And so if I haven't convinced you yet about my seasons of visibility, let me give you a few more reasons why applying seasonal thinking to business growth feels so cozy and sustainable for me. One thing I used to always say was that I'm a Pisces, I have all the water signs in my chart, and as a result, I'm so flowy and intuitive that I really struggle with systems and structure. But what I've come to realize, and this is an analogy I use all the time, is that if I think of my energy as if it was a river, I can still be that flowy, intuitive, watery soul. But when a river has banks, it allows the water to flow in a very specific, intentional, and efficient direction. If a river doesn't have those banks or it breaks the banks, we all know that that leads to chaos and destruction because the water is just going everywhere and it takes out everything in its path. And so this is why it feels so good to have finally found a strategy that I can make work within my seasonal thinking that allows me to finally find a middle ground between the always open approach and those big live launch events that I find personally very exhausting. This also means that I'm able to move away from the always on pressure, and by committing more to YouTube and doing more video this year, it is even more important that I'm intentional about those rest periods that I have. And so having this structure in my month is really helping me to apply that better. This seasons of visibility also just follows our natural cyclical flow that is so much more attuned to the way nature and our planet thrives, choosing that over some of the more manufactured and unsustainable models. And I think this is especially important for introverted, highly sensitive, and neurodivergent souls who need to be really aware of our energy management, our unique circumstances and accommodations that we need, and the way our energy works best. The best thing about this is that you can take as little or as long time to flow through the different seasons, and it's more about acknowledging and being aware that you are going to go through different seasons in your business. This is especially true for people who've needed to take a break for a year or longer because of their personal circumstances or health issues, where it feels like they've walked away from their business when really they're just taking an extended winter period. And it helps us to think less about things as a defined stop and more about where we are in that cycle. And point 5 of why I'm closing my offers and really leaning in to this renewed season of visibility framework in my business is my hypothesis that closing the doors to my offers is actually going to create a better client experience. From a strategic perspective, when you're running something like a membership, churn is a metric that you look at quite a lot. What I've observed in the months since I opened the common room on School is that people have been finding the group, joining maybe for a month, never engaging with any of the content or the group itself, and then canceling and leaving before they've had a chance to really check anything out. This is because, similar to the way our energy can be scattered out across a number of different offers or things that we're promoting all the time, when people are coming in at random times, it's very difficult, especially as a solopreneur who doesn't have a team, to maintain and manage every single relationship of those people who are joining. As I said, the autumn phase is very important to me and very underrated. And so by focusing my energy on creating windows when people can join, this allows me to dedicate my focus to those new people and then be able to hold space for everybody else throughout the month. It also allows me to really connect with people who are interested in joining and make sure that onboarding process gives them an amazing first impression. School has things like the automated DM, but one thing I've been trying to do is really manage and maintain those relationships with new people beyond automations and message bots. And this is not just on the School platform, but also via Instagram and Facebook DMs as well. People are so used to getting a bot, and there's something really special about them realizing that they're talking to the person whose group they're joining. Now, we didn't think this was possible because of the way School works. I've recently learned how you can make a School community waitlisted and a really simple strategy that makes sure I can take care of the well-being of the people who were already in the group by connecting with anyone new who is joining before they even get inside, and make sure that anyone new who is coming through is really aligned with the values and the mission of the space. So this is why I'm closing my Cozy Business Common Room School community and an application process for my Emerge and Expand Mastermind and my one-on-one clients. I'm already starting to see the benefits of running my month as if it is the 4 seasons of visibility by applying strategies that I was already doing in a more dedicated way, and then finding strategies such as Evelyn's almost evergreen and waitlist approach because they align so perfectly with what I was already doing. One thing I know a lot of us can do when we're used to adapting ourselves to try and fit into a box is when we can actually learn to understand ourselves best, develop our own methodologies and strategies, and then find any missing pieces that we haven't got quite right yet and implement those. One thing I think that many of us who have spent our whole lives trying to adapt to social situations or put ourselves into a box that doesn't quite fit is that when we start our own businesses, we can often find ourselves following strategies that don't align with our strengths and values at all. My favorite thing about this that I can already see working is the things that I was already doing and how I could identify the things that haven't been working as well as I want, and then seek out the strategies that can best support what I'm already doing that's already in alignment for me. And this is why it's so important to know our needs first, what it is that we really want in our business, and then find the strategies and systems that are going to best accommodate and support us. Over the next few months, as I'm implementing the new part of this strategy on top of my monthly workshop and my content ecosystem, I'm going to be measuring my energy levels and business satisfaction, my revenue comparison with previous approaches, and April will be the 3rd month that I'm running my workshop, so I'll be able to see the impact of these incremental changes that I'm making, member engagement and retention, my content creation flow and quality. Over the past few months, I've really neglected being on social media in preference of creating more YouTube and email content, but I'm hoping as I start to get in a real flow with this, I'll be able to bring that back a bit more as well. And also how the seasons of visibility feel for me and how I can keep building on what I'm already doing instead of getting to the end of the cycle, throwing everything out and starting again. If you're watching or listening to this and wondering how you can start to implement it in your own business, first I would start by going back to my video about how I'm simplifying my offers so that you can do a review and evaluation of all the things that you have, what needs to be retired, what can be repurposed, and what you want to keep and focus on. Then I'd invite you to consider whether you're currently stuck in either the big launch model or the always open approach, or if you've just been avoiding launching and talking about your work at all. Take some time to think about which season you feel like you're currently in, whether you're in the plan and nurture spring phase, the launch and grow summer phase, the review and deliver autumn phase, or the rest and evolve winter phase. And remember, the pace at which you move through the seasons or start to refine and evaluate the different moving pieces in your business is going to be entirely unique to you and your circumstances. The important thing is to start small with one piece and maybe even just soak this in without the need to feel like you have to start implementing something straight away. There is a middle path yourself between exhausting launches and the constant pressure of always open offers. Creating gentle boundaries in your business isn't about limiting your opportunities or your business growth. It's about creating the space to show up for your people with more intention and presence. Just as nature has its seasons, your business can have the natural rhythms that honor both your energy and your clients' needs. I'm already seeing the positive impact of finding a way to really move through the seasons of visibility throughout my month, and I believe that this seasonal approach will create even more sustainability for me, and maybe sharing it with you will get you thinking about it too. The key is to know what you need, to think about the kind of business and the kind of life that you want, and to find the systems and strategies that are going to best support you in order to achieve that goal. This is what I know to be kind of the rebellious difference to just signing up to a program and then following somebody else's steps to success, only to find yourself with a business that you don't love or completely burnt out and overwhelmed because you're doing things that are out of alignment with your own needs, strengths, and even the goals that you're working towards. And if you'd like to watch the video about how I started reviewing and streamlining my offers, or a little bit more about my seasons of visibility framework, please make sure to check those out. I will share with you the almost evergreen link so that you can check out the strategy that I'm starting to implement in alignment with this. And I'm going to go deeper into my Experientify methodology in another video. So please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. Please let me know in the comments if this has made you think differently about how you're launching in your business, if you have any questions at all, or how you're experimenting with your own energy and needs as you're navigating this as a solopreneur yourself. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.